and then I Don't Buy Bull wants to learn to remove an accurate, not inaccurate, but accurate negative accounts that's hurting their credit. So what I did was I just made a one-pager, and you can find the link to this down in the description box. So we have collections, third-party, collections, debt buyer, charge-offs, repossessions, foreclosures, hard inquiries, and late payments. So very simply, collections that are third-party is basically when the original creditor cannot collect on a debt, and they hire a collection agency to try to recover the debt. So neither the original creditor or the collection agency are paid unless the debtor actually pays on this. And the agreement would look either like a 40-60 or 60-40 share. So what that would mean is that if the debt is $100, then someone would get $60 and someone would get $40 if it's paid on, or vice versa. So a debt collector that is a debt buyer is a little bit different. So the example that I used is the same example in the article that I shared the other night, where Capital One is the original creditor and they sell a $10,000 debt to Portfolio Recovery. And it's not supposed to say recover, it's supposed to say recovery for $2,000. So Portfolio Recovery is literally purchasing the debt for $2,000, but they can actually attempt to collect $10,000 out of the $10,000, even though they only paid $2,000 for it. So Capital One writes off $8,000. Okay, so a charge off is basically sold somewhere after 6 months to a debt collector, if they are in fact going to sell the debt. Sometimes the original creditor actually keeps the account and never sells it. So that is the difference between those two collection types. So then we have charge-offs. So a charge-off is where the original creditor cannot recover the debt and they write it off as unrecoverable. So this is kind of like, let me use an example with Verizon. Verizon normally does not sell to a collection agency, although in some cases they do. And I would say 9 times out of 10, I see it happen where they sell it to Jefferson. Besides that, they keep it in-house and they do not sell it, and they basically write it off. Okay, so a repossession is either voluntary or involuntary, and voluntary is obviously you gave the vehicle back, and involuntary, they came and like swooped it from your driveway, or while you were at the taco stand, whatever. So a repossession is very difficult to get off, but if you do a Google search, you can actually find a letter that can be used for accounts that are older than 2 years, meaning the repossession occurred more than 2 years ago and they have not taken you to court, and it's very, very, very effective. Okay, so foreclosures, that's where the mortgage property is reclaimed after the mortgagor fails to pay. And hard inquiries. So a creditor inquired into a consumer's credit report, and the inquiry shows as creditor name and the date the inquiry occurred. And then lastly, late payments. I do not have any public records on here. Those are very, very simple to understand: bankruptcies, tax liens, evictions. But a late payment occurs when the consumer does not pay for an account on time or within the grace period, if there's actually one that exists. So some consumers argue that they were not 30 days late and that they were only 10 days late. But regardless of 10 days or 30 days, they still reports as 30 days, because they're not going to report you as 10 or 11 days late. The second thing was removing accurate negative accounts. So basically what I'm stating here is that whether an account is accurate or inaccurately reported on one's credit, it must be legally verified. So how do you actually get an accurate negative account removed? So basically, you need to get them to legally verify it. And when I say legally, that means that they can't just state to the consumer that the creditor has verified the consumer's account. So an account may state that a consumer has a balance of $10,000, but whether it's reported accurately or inaccurately, it must be legally verified by initiating an investigation with the credit bureaus. So to remove an accurately listed item, let's say that a consumer does in fact owe the $10,000. That means that the balance is accurate, but what about the other elements of the account, such as the open date, monthly payment, high balance, last payment date, etc.? So you need to look at the entire account, literally the whole shebang. So if the account is disputed, was the required notice of dispute entered within the required 30-day time frame from the date they received the notice, the dispute letter per section 623? It literally has to say disputed by consumer or, something like that. Okay, so if not, then it's not reported accurately and the account has to be removed. Did they send proof that the balance is reported accurately, or did they just say that the creditor verified it? So another example would be if a $10,000 account is charged off and sold to LVNV, not LNVN, then they have to report it as sold because they no longer own the account. So if the collector now reports the debt on the credit report, there's only one that can report the balance. So is it accurate that the $10,000, that the $10,000 account was sold? Yes. Is it accurate that LVNV now owns that account? Yes. But what about who's reporting the balance and whether the original account is reported accurately regarding the ownership? So you have to look at the entire breakdown of the account. You can even look at things like the account terms and the account type. So just because something is reporting accurately, whether that be the balance or, the monthly payment or whatever, you need to look at every single element of the account. And I know that I'm reiterating it, but that's very, very important. So it doesn't matter whether you own the account, whether you know about it, whether the balance is accurate, whether the open date is accurate. Look at the other things and dispute whatever you can in order of importance, like I've shown you in other videos, and you'll be able to get the account removed. Because remember, it has to be legally verified. Okay, because otherwise they're just reporting whatever the hell they want to because they're being paid to do so. Okay, so you actually have to force them to initiate an investigation. So I am going to be posting another one next Wednesday or Thursday. More than likely, it's going to be Wednesdays. So 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And this week, Sunday is going to be another live giveaway, and it's going to be to a mother because it's Mother's Day. So if you'd like your free consultation for a credit sweep, you can schedule yours today at expertcreditsweeps.com/book-online, which is this link that you see right here. All right, expertcreditsweeps.com/book-online if you need help and you'd like me to take over your credit sweep. So